Practice problem 2.6. Millimeters, grams, seconds, or parts origin is indicated, asymmetric, fully defined, lines, center lines, circles, arcs, slots, extruded boss, and construction lines. Again, we have the slot geometry, so we just did one of those. It didn't have the radiuses, but we already know how to do fillets too. So looking at this geometry, and what they're doing with the sketches and how much trouble I can get myself into with inferred relations, I want to introduce the parallelogram. All right, so we're 8 millimeters thick. We've got potentially a slot there. I think that would be okay. That one goes 108, that one goes 58. So they're not truly symmetric, but we already looked at how to take a rectangle and make it remove relation, make it more rhombic or trapezoidal or whatever. Oh, and on the orientation, we're going to be on the front plane. So hopefully at this point you're getting used to the looking at the isometric first, determining your orientation, looking at the origin if it's coming, if the extrude is coming towards us or away from us. Let me fly this back in since I didn't look at that. So bottom left corner, and it will be coming towards us. All right, so we'll be extruding in that direction. So a parallelogram, 3-point corner rectangle. Let's go with the parallelogram. It'll be fun. We're going to draw our line, and because it's dot dot dot, then we have to pull it out in another direction. All right, so all that really did was get us all of our geometry up front, and we're going to remove the parallel and then remove the parallel, and that's going to let me move those two now. Well, everything will move independent. So we need to make sure we're staying in the included angle and going 58. And I'm going to try to tie these together before I do anything else so that they're not moving like more strangely. And then that's kind of going to go that way. Our smart dimension goes to 142. And along the edge, so we do have to be careful on this side that we stay tight to the line, because as we move further away, the chances are that it's going to go horizontal and vertical increases. So 150, and then once it's applied, we can pretty much do whatever. And then what is our last geometry? So had the 108. And we're given, so this will be, if this center line and this are parallel, then we need to go ahead and generate that center line. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything too different. So 71 and 82, and that's where we're coming up with that angle. So center line, watch out for the midpoints because we cannot assume that these will be at the midpoints. And in this case, we are going to have to go point to point. Just, again, be careful with it switching to a horizontal or vertical smart dimension. So that one's starting out a little bit closer, and then place it, and it goes to 82. All right, so let's see what this looks like when I select, hold down the control button, select, and we're looking for parallel. All right, so I'm not too worried about the 32 just yet. We will probably make that a sketch fillet. The circle then, we will put in at the radius of 17 is going to make it 34. let's go ahead and click on that and switch it over to radius. We'll go with the slot tool again, pick up that point and that point. So I do have a duplicate entity. I do want to be careful with that duplicate entity that it is, when I'm selecting, I'm no longer really able to pick that geometry, but it's not super critical here. I am looking to get it to go linear, so if I drag off that way, that looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and get, it says a radius of 17, so that should, well, let's just go ahead and apply it, because last time I did line to line and we got the thickness. This time we're given a radius, so we could go ahead and make that 7. All right, and then I need the dimension from this point to the center, and let's make sure it stays aligned. 41, so we have that linear dimension. All right, that all looks pretty good. Well, since I'm having so much fun with the slots, we're going to go ahead and do one more, and the dimension there will be 52 and 47 from the point. And what do we have for a height from the edge up will be 9. All right, so this was kind of busy, but once you break down the noise, the geometry isn't too bad. We know that we're going to have that contour and region. The center line may actually separate this one, so we'll see what happens there. So let's go into the sketch fillet, and we're going to have a radius of 32 and pick our vertex, and when we hit OK, make sure you hit OK again because it thinks you want to keep making sketches or sketch fillets. And then let's go ahead and do the extrude. It's going in the right direction, and we'll put in the 8 millimeters. Oh yeah, and since it wasn't on my screen, I was already not thinking about it. So it didn't, the center line didn't participate, but we do have our geometry. All right, so you don't have to use the parallelogram. Oh, we have 2 more radiuses. So before I get too far ahead of myself, let's go ahead and do the select and control select previous. It's not really going to help that much to, we can select it inside of the items to fill it, or pre-select for both. Radius of 8, and then we go ahead and select. Let's save this 2-6, and we're ready for 109,681. So let's see what we have. 109,499. Okay, pretty close. So 180 millimeters. And again, if everything else is being equal, the only thing I can really do, and everything is in the sketch now, so the 47, the 52, the 9 millimeters off of the base, 142, 150, radius of 17, 55 between the centers, radius of 7, did the 8s. Again, if we're close, we're close. So I think for this geometry, we've done everything as good as. And just want to mention again, you could have drawn the line and the line. Let's maybe do that real quick with a sketch. The only thing that drove me or jumped out at me as making this a parallelogram is that as we're doing these sketches, you're going to start getting more and more inference lines. And sometimes those inference lines automatically add parallels or perpendiculars that you don't necessarily want. So you see all those little yellow lines popping up. Just make sure that it is not automatically adding adding relations for you, because it's going to happen. At some point you're going to get a relation, things are going to start going over defined, and it's not going to be real apparent until you get into the diagnosis. All right, so this one should be good. So if you're playing along at home, you probably noticed that I completely went without the 150. I went right to the parallel, did not pick up the 150. So looking at those two, there's my parallel. I'm going to delete that out. Now I already put the radius in. There's not really anything there that I can work with, but we have this thing called an intersecting point. Let's see if it still works. That I can select two items, and when I place the point, it gives me an extension. All right, so let's see how bad this, because I was still trying to figure out where I would have lost that 180, but 149.41. Boy, that's really close. All right, so let's go 150. It stretches it just a little bit. One more mass property, and 109,681. That close. So one little oversight, and dimensions right there, and you get lost in the noise. You're going to make those simple mistakes. So I would say pay attention, but there's always going to be one.